Oh my goodness, this morning I had my laptop and I had a webcam all ready to go, but it wasn't my regular laptop that I use. And I just couldn't get it to accept the camera settings and permissions. So we are back on my mobile phone and I'm using a headset. So hopefully this mic is picking up some sound. If not, it probably looks like I'm just waving my hands around and moving my mouth. But hey, welcome. Thanks for joining the live stream. If you're new around here, welcome to the channel. I'm Dr. CST or Caroline, and I post at least 2 or 3 times each month about all things academic life. And we have literally just come back into resuming semester 2. So last week it was lovely. It was our graduation ceremony. Now, I don't know if you're in a university setting, how your university does it. So we have 2 graduation ceremonies. One's in April and one is in, was it July? Yeah, it's in July. So the April ceremony tends to be people who are collecting or being awarded a master's and people who've got a PhD. And then in the summer one, in the July one, we get undergraduates, so people being awarded their bachelors, we get people being awarded their integrated masters, and also we get some people getting their PhDs. So it was the April one, and because it tends to be masters and PhD students in April, you tend to have, at least in our university, more departments grouped together. So it was lovely. I was able to be in the academic procession. I think there was about 50 of us, 50 or 60 academics from all different departments celebrating the success of the students. And so we go up and there's like a formal kind of welcome to everybody. And then the students all get to go across the stage, doff their cap. So you get your cap and you doff it at the awarding academic and get given a handshake and get your official degree certificate. And you move in that ceremony from being a graduand to being a graduate. So sometimes people get a bit confused about this, but if you've done your degree, you've got your marks back, and you know that you got enough credits to be awarded your degree, you stop being an undergraduate, and for that period of time where you know you have enough credits, but you haven't officially been awarded your degree, you are a graduand. So they walk into the cathedral as graduands, and then once they've doffed their cap and had their handshake, they are then a graduate. So they exit as graduates. And honestly, it's a lot of fun. We also tend to have, I think it's usually one or two awarded degrees to people. So things like we get people who get awarded a doctor of the university, and it's somebody in the local community who is highly connected to the university, who's making a big contribution to academic life. They get honoured by an honorary doctor of the university. And it's lovely because you get to hear them talk and kind of talk about their connection with the university. And then something I think more and more universities are doing, and we've been doing this now for a good 3 or 4 years, is having a graduate speak. So we have somebody who's just in that class who is graduating, and then they get to speak about their experience. And it's a fairly short speech, 3 or 4 minutes. It's quite a thing to do, though, to have to give a talk to like your kind of graduating class. But again, it's just a nice way of celebrating. And then afterwards, after like the formalities, it's one of my colleagues said it's a bit like a wedding, and it kind of is a bit like a wedding, because then we go to a massive marquee, and there's like drinks and nibbles and canapes and food and sweets, chocolate covered strawberries. And something again that I've seen more and more is they have like Instagram areas. So like, well, what I mean by that is like backdrops. So beautiful floral decorations, balloons, class of 2024 signs. They have like these kind of lovely displays where you can stand in front of and do your pictures if you like. So it was really, really lovely. Thank you, by the way, for people who are joining. I hope the sound is okay. I was saying at the start of this, it's a bit of a cobbled system. If you could see what I'm looking at, you are currently perched on my laptop, which is on a laptop screen, which is on a box, which is on Feynman's lecture notes. So you are a bit precarious at the moment. But anyway, yeah, graduation was lovely. But then no sooner is graduation over, then semester restarts. And so today is the week where we resume semester 2. So I think they did 7 or 8 weeks before we had the kind of spring vacation. And we've now got another 4 weeks of teaching. And this is when it starts to get, I guess, towards the end of the academic year where things, start to happen. So people need to get their courseworks in. We're building up to the exam season at the end of May, beginning of June. So I guess this is where you start to feel all those deadlines, and kind of the accumulation of your degree starts to really pick up. And so as an academic, part of my job here is to obviously keep teaching the material and to support the students, but also I'm trying to make sure that we turn around marked pieces of coursework and assessments in a really timely fashion, so that students get as much time as possible to use that feedback before their final assessments, courseworks and exams. And so again, universities will have different policies on this. But our university has a policy where I think it's 3 weeks. So the coursework comes in and we have 3 teaching weeks to turn around marks. And holiday periods don't actually count. So if somebody turns in their coursework just before the spring break, you don't actually count the weeks of the spring break as part of those 3 weeks to turn around the marking. But the problem is, if you waited, you'd be handing back that marking almost at the same time as they're handing in their final bits of coursework. And then obviously they then can't use your feedback in their final exam kind of preparation and their final coursework. So most academics, we actually try to turn it around quicker. And so I would be trying to release coursework and bits and pieces at the end of this week, start of next week, to give students a chance to be able to use it when they then get prepared. So that's quite busy. There's quite a lot of that going on at the moment. It's nice to see campuses busy again, having had 2 or 3 weeks of quiet. It's suddenly all the queues are back up with the coffee shops, and you have to kind of take a bit longer to get between one place and another place. But it's lovely. But I just think that these next 4 weeks are quite focused weeks. Now, I think when you start the academic cycle, when you start the academic year, the opening period in October is quite nice. Usually people are finding their feet with their new courses. Then you do have that build up to the winter vacation because we have exams in January. But then it sort of resets. And at the beginning of February, it goes back to that kind of not relaxed vibe, but that feeling that you're a long way away from your examinations. And so the kind of the vibe around campus is a bit different to where we are now, which is where we're starting to build up to those end examinations. And I think, from what I've seen, universities are trying really hard to make it as much as possible a non-pressurised environment. And that's a really, it's a difficult thing to do, because I remember this, when you face your exams, I found it difficult to switch off from them if I knew they were coming up. They seem to be in my thoughts all the time. But what I've seen more and more these days is people try to do things like we have petting zoos that come in. It's really lovely. We have goats and sheep and things on the front kind of area, the front lawn. You can go and pet and cuddle between your classes. We have a lovely support dog group that comes in, and again you can book sessions where you go to see those dogs, and they're just gorgeous and they are lovely. We do the thing where they have bikes and they make kind of smoothies where you can cycle to make a refreshing smoothie outside the library. So we try, and I think universities are trying to create that kind of environment when we know students are going to be having a lot of work coming up and a lot of things happening in their system. But it's tricky, and you can feel the vibe on the campus changing slightly. And it's also difficult for those students, I think, in their final years, because it's that kind of mix. And I really remember this, you might have had it too, that mix of emotion, because you want to be there celebrating with your kind of classmates, your friends. This could be the last time that you see your class as a whole for quite a while. People might be going back to their home countries. You might not see these friends again for a period of time. And at the same time, you have to work. And you have to do all your kind of coursework preparations and exam preparations. So it is a bit of a kind of a difficult kind of catch situation at the moment. And I would say, usually, this time of the year it's helped because the campus here in the UK is lovely and spring-like. And for graduation, it was lovely, right? It was sunny, there was things for it was really pretty. And today, it's been torrential rain. We've had rain, we've had winds, we've had hail. So, it's not exactly the nicest summer weather at the moment. Although I guess it means that you're more inclined to stay in the library and revise maybe than when the weather is particularly nice and particularly fresh. But yeah, so that's kind of going on. So at the moment, I'm just kind of easing myself back into teaching materials and doing my marking to turn it around quickly for the students. I'm still trying a tactic of splitting my week. So I don't know how you organise your week, but on Monday at the start of the week I try to see my PhD students. So the way I do it is that each PhD student I have always has a guaranteed 1 hour slot each week. Now we might not use the full hour, we might need more than 1 hour, in which case we have multiple sessions in a week. But there's always at least one timetabled hour that we have in the calendar. And I found that putting on a Monday typically works really well, because then we can have a conversation and then we've got lines of research that people can then follow for the remainder of that week. And then I still try to put my undergraduate students, so those students who are doing a bachelor's project with me, towards the end of the week. So they tend to be typically on a Friday, and again it means that they've got a chance to do their working week, and then we catch up at the end as to what's happened and what they're going to do for the next week. And then that should give me Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, where I can focus on teaching the classes I have to teach, going to the meetings that I need to attend to, and also getting my head down and trying to get some kind of research papers and grants and bits and pieces written. And so far, that seems to be working okay. Oh, has anybody put anything in the chat? So the only annoying thing about using my mobile phone is I'm not very good at seeing chat messages coming through. So I do apologise if you've asked me a question and I'm being a bit ignoring it. I'm a bit loath to press a button in case I drop off this. I will next month make sure I have the right laptop with the web camera, which is all compatible, so I can see the messages and stuff coming through. I just wanted to say thank you so much for your comments on the channel and for commenting and helping out each other. It is really lovely, and academia, it's strange, isn't it? Because you're working alongside colleagues. It's all about, networking and building your collaborations. And at the same time, a lot of what we do as academics is also quite individual. When you're giving a lecture theatre class, I know some of you are giving lectures for the first time. I've seen in the comments that you're preparing to give your first classes. Quite often as academics, we are the sole academic in that lecture theatre or that class. And so everyone's sort of looking at you to lead and to direct it. And so there is that kind of, again, mix where we're collaborating and we're team players and we're networking in academia. But at the same time, it's down to us as individuals to lead classes, to cert exams, to do assessments, to do marking, to lead on writing research grant applications. It's kind of that weird mix of individual and team. So if you are doing a class for the first time, deep breath, it can be quite daunting. I think most academics will say their first few classes at least, they had to really take a breath before they went in to do them. And also just remind yourself that not every class has to be perfect. I think sometimes as academics, we set ourselves these really high bars that every class we deliver is going to be amazing, every lab session we run, every seminar. And sometimes I think we try things, and for whatever reason, maybe that day, maybe the group of students we're addressing, maybe the environment, maybe the material, it just doesn't work. And, that's okay. It's okay to have a class that doesn't go exactly as you planned. We build from it, we learn from it. In the moment, I think it's really hard, especially when you've prepared something and then it doesn't go quite as you expect it. It can be quite difficult to kind of work with that. But just remember, basically, as I always say, be kind to yourself. You're up there, you're doing the best you possibly can. You've tried, you put the prep book in, you put the materials together. Hopefully the class will be brilliant and you'll all enjoy it. But if things don't go according to plan, just learn from them. And I know it's easy to say that, but just learn from things as you go along. I'm going to do another video. Gosh, it's next Monday. So I'm going to keep doing the alternate ones every Monday. Keep doing the live streams on the 15th. I'm going to try to show you a little bit about what it's like as we build up to the end of the semester, especially, at the current kind of climate as we go towards things. There'll be particular meetings I have to go to, particular organisational groups I have to attend to make sure things are sorted out for the students so they can finish their studies. So I'll try to show a little bit more of that. And I'll try to take you around campus a little bit so you can see what's going on. But in the meantime, thank you so much for continuing to watch the channel, supporting the channel, leaving the lovely comments. I think I meant to plug my podcast. If you haven't watched it already, I have, or listened to it. If you go to Spotify and listen to Sari Speaks Wool AI, there's a podcast all about artificial intelligence. In case that is your thing, you don't have to listen to it, but in case that's your thing, I'll just flag it as it being out there. But I'm now going to go back. I've got a 1 hour meeting this afternoon, and I've got one more PhD student I'm seeing later on, and then I've got some marking to do. So that is my afternoon. I hope you have a lovely afternoon, whatever you're up to. Take care of yourselves. Keep leaving me your comments, keep leaving me your kind of messages on the channel. I will endeavour to reply to as many as I possibly can, and have a lovely afternoon. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. Bye.